Sugetsu style. Hey everyone, Templar74 here with another Yu-Gi-Oh video, and today's Yu-Gi-Oh video is going to be my review of the latest episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's Episode 4, Farewell Student Council President. And I gotta be honest with you guys, this episode was kind of expected, to be honest. I mean, first we got a Yuga episode, then we got a Rook episode, then we got a Roman episode, so it only made sense that we were going to get a Gakuto episode here before too long, and this was it. And this episode really kind of introduced us to Gakuto as a character. I mean, we've seen him throughout the first 4 episodes. We've seen the student council president here, but we really didn't know much about his character or what he does outside of watching Yuga and the Rush duels here. And this episode was kind of a sneak peek into Gakuto and just how he operates. And boy, is he a let's put it this way, he's like an onion character. They're layers. And yeah, that's the best way I can put it with this character. Overall, though, it was an enjoyable episode here, and I did enjoy the duel. And one of my favorite Magic cards ever made a cameo in this duel, so, you know, there is that, and it gets bonus points for that. But we'll talk about all of this soon enough. So, at risk of further rambling, let's move on to the actual episode. So like I said in the intro here, this episode is basically a look at Gakuto as a character and a look into his day, and we learn that he is a very busy kid as student council president, and we also learn that he's kind of losing his way a little bit since Rush dueling and meeting Yuga and, you know, just this whole Rush duel thing. He's kind of lost his way a little bit, something the vice president and his secretary are always quick to remind him of, and he's like, you're right, I've lost my way. I've got to stop getting involved with Rush dueling. And it's about this time that Yuga comes up to him and asks for a favor, and we learn that Yuga, Rook, and Roman are doing a Rush duel promotional video. Roman is doing the, she's doing the soundtrack to it, while Rook and Yuga do the Rush dueling here, and they actually make a joke about singing here, and they try to get Roman to do it. She's like, I ain't doing it. Then they try to get Gakuto to do it, and he's like, no, not happening. So, you know, that there's kind of that little enjoyable moment right there. It's a bit of humor and a bit of comedy, and I gotta be honest, I did laugh about that. And it's funny when Roman says, I ain't singing, you don't want to hear me sing, because, you know, we know that Roman's voice actor is perfectly capable of singing. She's done it before. She did it in her previous role on Sword Art Online. So we know that the voice actor knows how to sing. We know the character can sing, but in this series, though, and Roman, she just wants nothing to do with it. She's strictly a guitarist, and if you ask her to sing, you're going to get a big fat no, and she is going to become very defensive. So there is that. So anyway, they do manage to put together a Rush Duel promotional video, even without Gakuto's help. And Yuga, we learn, has turned his drone into a farming. And, you know, it's highly illegal, and YouTube, there are bot farmers out there that just hit the like button as a bot there. Highly illegal and highly against YouTube guidelines here, but Yuga manages to pull this off with his drone to exceed the number of likes on the video so that the promotional video will spread, and their hope and their scheme is that once it gets so many likes, they can kind of sneak into Roman's fan base here and tap into that, and it'll become even more popular, to which Roman kind of isn't too thrilled about. She's not really on board with that, but you know, trends happen, I guess. But Roman, not a big fan of her fan base being used like that. So yeah, we then see Yuga try to smooth things over with Gakuto here. Gakuto, of course, is trying to act like the stiff and proper student council president and trying to put an end to Yuga's shenanigans. And Yuga, just typical Yuga, he proposes a duel with Gakuto. And basically, this is how it'll go down. If Yuga wins, Gakuto, as student council president, has to allow Rush dueling in the school, which is something that's banned right now. Oh, and Rook throws it in there at the last second. He also must resign as student council president. And if Yuga loses, then the rush duels can continue to be banned, and they will stop trying to promote rush dueling in school. And at first, Yuga doesn't want Gakuto to go through with it because of Rook's demand there, because Yuga's the one that proposed it, but as soon as Rook says, well, you have to resign as student council president too, Yuga's like, no, we're not doing that. But Gakuto, of course, says, okay, I agree to your terms, we'll rush duel. However, before they can actually begin the rush duel, Business calls Gakuto away, and he proposes that they will rush duel as soon as school is over, something that Yuga agrees to here. And so Yuga finally shows up. The end of the day, they're there. Gakuto honors his word, and these two finally have their rush duel, and we get introduced to Gakuto's way of dueling, the Suigetsu style. And basically what this is, other than a snazzy looking attire here, is Gakuto refuses to handle his own cards. I mean, we saw earlier on in the episode that he will handle his own deck and he draws out his cards, he draws for his fortune. But when it actually comes to dueling though, Gakuto won't handle his own cards. Instead, he leaves that to his vice president and secretary, who also stand there. They do the drawing, they do the card handling. However, Gakuto makes all the decisions when it comes to the duel here. And yeah, very interesting style of dueling. I don't think we've ever seen that in a Yu-Gi-Oh series before, but I got to admit, that was intriguing, and I did kind of like the style here. So anyway, the Suigetsu style gets Yuga fired up for this rush duel, and their duel begins, and we see that Gakuto actually has a pretty awesome ace monster called Yami Ruler, or Dark Ruler. And we also see that it ends up in Gakuto's hand. However, he kind of hesitates to use it. Well, he doesn't hesitate, he just doesn't want to use it right off the bat. And for very good reason, because Dark Ruler or Yami Ruler has a very interesting ability here. And that is when it switches position on the field, and it can do this by its own effect. When it switches from attack to defense mode, it can essentially prevent Yuga from tribute summoning out his level 7 or above monsters, which this ability is used by Gakuto, and that essentially blocks Yuga from bringing out Seven Road's Magician, and he knows he's in trouble because without Seven's Road, he can't defeat the Dark Ruler or Yami Ruler, and he obviously can't win over Gakuto. And Gakuto actually manages to knock Yuga's life points down to 300 when he brings out his other Sage card and his Yami Ruler and uses them combined to wipe out Yuga's field here. Yuga gets knocked down to 300. But this is also why I say that my favorite card my favorite Magic card, I guess I should say, of all time in Yu-Gi-Oh! Made its appearance in this duel. And it's been a long time since we've seen this card, and it took me back to the Duel Monster days. And that is Shield and Sword. And if you guys don't remember what Shield and Sword does, it essentially switches the attack points and defense points of all the monsters on the field. Pretty good for Yami Ruler because it has 2,500 attack and defense points. That card doesn't change. And his Sage card has 0 attack and 2,000 defense. So when Gakuto plays Shield and Sword, his monster's attack points switch. He's able to wipe Yuga's field out and knock Yuga down to 300 life points. So that's where my favorite Magic card comes in, Shield and Sword. And like I said, it's been a long time since we've seen that card, and it's one of my favorite Magic cards of all time. So to see it here, the episode gets bonus points just for that. It was kind of like when Blue Eyes appeared in the first episode. It got automatic brownie points for that. So anyway, back to the duel here. Yuga is able to pull out, come back here when he's able to special summon Seven's Road with his Seven's Road Witch. And what this is, it's a level 6 monster which Yuga is still able to tribute summon because it's not a level 7 or above. He's able to bring this out, and thanks to its effect, is able to special summon Seven Road's Magician. And with that, Seven's Road is out, Seven Road's Witch here, and let's just say it's not good for Gakuto. But first, before I conclude on the duel and the end of the episode, I do want to say here, Seven's Road Witch and Seven's Road Magician here really gives me vibes of Dark Magician Girl. Kind of like how in Vrains we had Cyverse Magician and Cyverse Witch. You know, it's just the running continuation in the Yu-Gi-Oh saga of the main spellcaster monster having a backup here. So, you know, I kind of see that here, and I see parallels in that. So, Seven's Road Witch, I'm happy about, and hope we see Seven Roads Witch more in Yuga's strategies here, rather than continuously advanced summoning Seven's Road here. I think it'll just add depth to Yuga's strategies here. So, hoping we see Seven Roads Witch more as the series. With that, though, like I said, Seven's Road Witch arrives, and Seven Roads Magician is brought out, and it doesn't end well for Gakuto. He ends up losing the duel when Seven's Road destroys his Yami ruler, and Seven's Road Witch ends up wiping out his life points here. So now we've got Gakuto, he's lost, and he honors his word. You know, this is actually brought up. Yuga doesn't want him to resign, but Gakuto honors his word. Not only will he allow rush dueling in the schools as student council president, he will also step down after he makes this ruling, which he does. To be fair, Gakuto does honor his word here. And when Gakuto steps down, an emergency election is held, and he's reelected. So not really a whole lot of drama and suspense there. He is ultimately reelected to his position, but he still honors his word with Yuga that he will allow rush dueling. And in turn, Yuga helps him out by reconfiguring his drone that was basically reprogrammed to be a like bot. Now it is a stamp bot, and it's helping Gakuto with his official duties so that he can continue to watch over rush dueling and continue to be part of Yuga's group here with Roman, Rook, and Yuga. And that's essentially how the episode leaves off. So a nice ending to that. With that said, though, everybody, that was this week's Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's episode. Like I said, this episode was a good Gakuto episode. It was kind of expected that we were going to get an episode here, and now we've gotten an episode focused around all the main characters, which is always a nice thing here. Plot and development episodes are always nice, especially when you're in a new series and you're getting introduced to new characters. I feel that having episodes dedicated to each character to get introduced to them a little bit more helps out tremendously. I'm not going to say it was as good as the first episode, and I'm not going to say it's as good as Roman's episode or Rook's episode, but it was still a decent episode for what it was, and I really did love his Suigetsu style here. Gakuto is really an interesting character here, and he is a man of his word. You know, you gotta love that. Shield and Sword, too, that raised up the brownie points on this episode as well. Overall, I give this episode a 7.5 out of 10. Not the best character-focused episode, but still character-focused episodes are always nice, and they always help build up the character, and I feel that this episode did that. So with that said, everybody, those were my thoughts on this week's episode, but as always, in the comments section down below, let me know what your guys' thoughts were about this week's episode. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you think it was just there? What are your thoughts? Just let me know in the comments section down below, because as always, I enjoy hearing from you. Alright everyone, as always, Templar74 signing off. Have a great day everybody, and I'll talk to you all next time. Goodbye everybody.